What makes enlightenment and transformation such a difficult concept to sell humanity is that each person sees reality and all the emotional experiences that cause all their suffering as having something to do with the unique presentation of their life. And so they could hear a Buddhist person say, you know what, this causes the disappearance of suffering. This mindfulness thing, this causes present moment experience. You see, when you look at books like The Power of Now, from Eckhart Tolle, that is what they're talking about. When you listen to people like Alan Watts, the philosophy and the explanations of people that have had these experiences, they don't actually cause the experience itself. Listening to somebody like Alan Watts for motivation or because you like it or because the philosophy is interesting to you is really absolutely never going to cause anything like that experience. And it's an experience that is so extraordinary that the moment you have it, your life becomes complete. It becomes complete, that everything that you're looking for seems to be out here in this physical world. Love, prosperity, success, objects, things that you want, material things. But you see, those things are only symbolic of something else. Like you really think you want to get that girl's number at the bar. But you see, what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to avoid abandonment or rejection. And so the attachment is based on the anxiety and the fear of the rejection that will happen if you don't get something. You see, success is really just a flight to safety, social safety. Validation that people seek is really just to quiet the experience that they're not enough. And we live as if there's going to be some point in the future where we've proven ourselves, where we've acquired enough stuff, where we've got enough status to relax. And that illusion has been the basis of our enslavement. And you could look at the consequences of it. And when you take a look at the people running the world, these are the people that are manipulative. These are the hierarchical people. These are the people that want to put themselves in the history books, that are so grandiose and entitled that they have no problems mowing down other countries. And that is why we just can't get along. Because people that are narcissists, sociopaths, antisocials, they don't have the capacity to empathize with other humans. They don't have the problem-solving skills. And the context that's guiding their leadership is solely about themselves. Doesn't mean there aren't good people in politics. Doesn't mean there's not good people in corporate America. It does not mean that there is not goodness in the world. But you see, a lot of these things that have become philosophies, the teachings of Jesus, for example, spoke of the kingdom of God, salvation. But if you listen to Alan Watts, he'll talk about Christ consciousness. You have to really understand words. And I don't mean understand the definition, but the actual phenomenon of words as it correlates to the human experience. You see, a single word can have many different contextual arrangements. Hello. Hello. I could say hello so many different ways. And one way could mean like, hello, are you paying attention, right? Or hello there. I could be saying hello and that would indicate like, whoa, like I just noticed something, beautiful, like a hot girl, like, whoa, hello there, so hello. And so when you start to think about God, well, the problem is that the ego is actually a mental illness. It is a mental illness. That these reactions, that these needs that we just cannot satisfy, and our prioritization of our own fixing and changing of our emotions, our attachments to opinions and beliefs that literally are just formed in servitude of what we want reality to be, that is how you fall short. The ego falls short of consciousness because the ego lacks awareness. The ego lacks awareness because the ego formed due to a lack of awareness. That the ego is trying to use the amount of power of the brain it can, absent the awareness that would normally form within the mind. But the developmental process of human beings was adulterated by language, that using spoken language started to empower the intellect in its discerning of reality, that sharing ideas, concepts, and information opened the mind in a particular way. But it also closed the mind in a particular way as well, and it resulted in vast disparities in the mental well-being, as well as the cognitive power, creative capacity that we see expressed as a unique phenomenon in humans, where we would think it's some genetic thing that we have geniuses and Einsteins and Newtons and Mozarts and Shakespeare's, and then we have, everyone else. But you see, the people that pioneer knowledge, are completely different from the people that can get a PhD trying to memorize their ideas from books they wrote. The challenge of me writing a book on psychology is taking an infinite expanse of experiential awareness where my mind can visualize and see things in vivid detail in a universe of knowledge. You see, knowledge forms for me now in a very different way, not because I'm smarter, but because I've had a series of transformational awakenings. And the last one was so complete that it unified my subconscious mind to the moment in which I live, which means that the subconscious is a neurologically segregated expanse of awareness that pertains to reality. And it is filtered down through the mechanism of the central nervous system's autonomic nervous system. The fight or flight reaction is something that all people are stuck within. That the sympathetic nervous system arouses you out of parasympathetic activity. And then it propagates all your anxiety the moment you wake up, all your problems. You start shuffling through them all. Because everything that's conceived of as a problem is a problem because it's risk of your own sense of self. That you're a yo-yo. That you can be good enough one moment and triggered into not good enough the next and then get stuck there, ruminating, perplexing on how to fix and improve yourself just to restore an emotional experience that's less suffering. But you see, emotions were never evolved for a self. That emotions were meant to accurately guide us in the navigation of the external world. And that external world is already in your head. And so it isn't that there's a world out there and then a world in here. The world out there is already in here. And the world out there, when experienced in its fullness, empowers the genesis of any kind of pathway to the future. And that people that find this truth become anomalous, or children that are born without the same level of impairment. They think so fast because it's visual, because their imagination is not an IMAX theater of suffering and reliving past experiences, or just merely anticipating their own problems tomorrow, but their imagination doesn't deal with them. It deals with everything. And so it's as if you took God's Google universe, this expansive imagination. You have to understand the cognitive power of your brain is so high that it generates an entire universe. So you could walk around and navigate. But you see, you've created a caricature of yourself within that universe, where you think that world is out there and that you're just this small little guy within it. And you're not. You're the entire thing. But that's not a metaphysical statement. It is a neurological one. That what's causing your suffering is the repetition of neurological positive feedback loops in the fight or flight that reproduce abandonment, that reproduce anxiety, confusion, a sense of not good enough. And that's what gets turned off in meditation, or an ontology,